happiness seekers. My name is Klaudia, and you are listening to the Happiness Challenge. This episode is part of the Happiness Reset campaign, where I bring you 25 bite sized episodes to inspire you to refocus on your happiness and fulfillment. In each short episode, I bring you one practical hack to create more happiness at work, in relationships, and in your own skin. Follow me on LinkedIn and join my newsletter to share what hacks you are finding useful, and also to get free tickets to a webinar on the science of happiness that I'll be hosting in February. And in this happiness hack, we are concentrating on the power of strength. I'm here with Nic Jackson, a qualified coach who supports individuals and teams in learning more about what really energizes them at work. Welcome, Nic.
Hi, Klaudia. Thanks for inviting me.
I'm so excited. And my first question is, what is your happiness hack?
So, my happiness hack, probably unsurprisingly as my personal strengths coach, is to really reflect on your strengths. During your day, I think we experience so many emotions, and for many of us, we're really busy humans. We don't necessarily take time to think about that emotion, and we swiftly move on in our day to another focus or our next challenge or task. So, I'm focusing on really building in some time to reflect on our happiness. So, my happiness hack is about building in that time to reflect. It sounds simple, doesn't it? But in terms of what that looks like, that could be different for all of us. For some of us, it's a daily exercise and can be something that people want to do once a day at the end of their day, building in that reflective habit. 10 minutes is all it could take just to write down a little bit about what has made them happy in that day. And once they've acknowledged that, what it was that made them happy, move on to think about the why. So it's not just about the situation and the experience and what happened, it's what they were feeling within that experience and trying to identify some strengths they experienced to then be able to use those more often. So for me, in reality, it isn't something I do daily, actually. It's something that I do when I get a feeling in my gut that in that day I felt really excited, fulfilled, really satisfied. I felt happy that day. So when I get that feeling, later on, I'll build in 5 to 10 minutes to myself to write in a nice journal. I'm a real stationary person, and I write down what's happened, how I felt, and then I move on to think about what was it that made me happy? What was it about that? And why was it? And so that for me comes back to my knowledge of my personal strengths.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you so much, Nic. And I agree that reflection time is so important and often is overtaken by all these other responsibilities that we have, but not increasing our self-awareness by reflecting on our strengths when, as you said, we feel very energized, very excited, but maybe also deflated or frustrated. What has happened and how our strengths play uh, part in it. So my question is then, why is that important to our well-being? What benefits this practice of daily or weekly reflection on our strengths can bring us?
Well, for me, there's a couple of ways that's important for happiness. So, firstly, it forces me to relive that happiness. So, to think about how I felt in that moment, to really appreciate my happiness. Life is so fast. I've got my own business, I've got 3 children. So, these moments to reflect don't necessarily come all the time. So, I have to try and create them to give myself that opportunity. Life moves on so fast, we move on to the next part of our day without really reflecting or celebrating that moment of happiness. So by getting it on paper, I feel like I'm kind of cementing it. I'm getting it down as something that I can capture. And I suppose there's another side of that. You said earlier about those tough days that maybe you aren't feeling happiness. Well, when you're having those, it's great to be able to go back to that journal, to read through and relive that happy moment. And actually, that can build on your happiness right there and then. Another reason I think it's important is it allows me to be quite proactive about happiness. Looking at what it is in that moment that made me happy, to try and create a bit more of that in my day to day. And if I can give you an example of maybe how this could apply. So, for instance, recently I really enjoyed my son's 5th birthday party. So it was busy, it was hectic. As the poor person organising the party, the happiness was obviously coming from seeing my son enjoying it. But actually, when I reflected and I delved deeper into that happiness, it came from being surrounded by people, new friends and old, that hustle and bustle of being in and around others. It also came from the time and investment that I had spent organising the party, my efficiency strength in organising that, and then when it came together, being able to celebrate and see all that in action. So actually, by being able to relive it and think, that hustle and bustle is what I want more of, it allows me then to create more of that in the future. So for me, it's been about going out, getting into more networking events to be able to be at exhibitions and see being in and around more people. Also, that efficiency, I feel like I'm using it all the time, but actually putting some process around that has given me some more energy. So I'm not just taking the thing that's made me happy, I'm taking the thing that kind of underlines it, that why, to be able to help support me in terms of creating more happiness.
Wow, brilliant. Thank you so much, Nic. So, straight away, if someone wants to apply this happiness hack, what would be your advice?
So I would say whether you want to build it in as a daily or weekly habit or just as a one-off, give it a try. Build 10 minutes into your calendar. And whether you are the sort of person that likes to just write it on your notes on your phone, whether you like to have a nice notepad, however it works for you, get yourself some time to reflect and answer the following questions. So what was it that made you happy today? More importantly than that, for me, in terms of strengths, why did it make you happy? What was it? Get really specific. And whatever it was that gave you that buzz of happiness, take some time to consider where you can use that more within your day to day. So, for instance, if you really enjoyed getting creative at work and problem solving, maybe doing a bit of strategy work, could you use the creativity that gave you that happiness at home? Maybe you can build in some more time to allow you to be more creative at home. Or maybe you've supported and developed some people within your workplace. Well, actually, where can you create a bit more of that? It might be a bit more of the same, or actually, it might be something different that just has that same underlying strength behind it.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Nic. And for those listeners who may not be as good with reflection time, but also with notebooks, I'm definitely not a big fan of notebooks because I always lose them. And I would say that if you spend lots of time on your emails, actually having outlooks, kind of appointment calendar, and I do that quite a lot, reminding you to reflect and putting it in your outlook notes actually works quite well as well, because hey, I'm already at work, I'm already in front of my emails, and I can quickly do that reflection. Thank you so much, Nic. Thank you for listening to the Happiness Reset campaign. I hope this happiness hack is useful and impactful for you. If you would like to learn more about strengths, listen to episode 64, how to leverage your strengths for meaningful living. And I would love you to share this episode with others and subscribe to my podcast and newsletter so you don't miss out on any future hacks. So thank you again, and I dare you to be happy. Bye.